In the meantime, everybody's favorite ancient comedian curmudgeon, everyone's angry, middle-aged, alt comic, nerd neighbor, Marc Maron, did Howie Mandel's podcast, and God help me, I'm kind of agreeing with Marc Maron in a way, because Maron made a point about Rogan comics or comics who are associated with Rogan and how their shit is becoming hacky. Like their jokes are becoming hacky. Their topics are becoming hacky. And I don't want to agree with Maron because he's such a whiny, jealous bitch. But a broken clock is right twice a day. And these were his thoughts against anti-woke comics. You know, this is the risk you run when a Donald Trump becomes president. The whole point of every revolution is to dissolve itself. You know, you win the battle, you win the war, you dissolve the revolution. Trump has won. The trans sports thing and the trans bathroom thing has been pushed back. LGBT stuff and, drag story hour. You don't hear about that anymore. That's been pushed back. So now it seems like if you keep, like, especially as a comic, if you keep going after that, it does seem like you're kicking a dead horse a little bit. Let's hear Marc Maron out, and my audience can call him either a giant fucking pussy or say, you know what? I never thought I'd say this. Maybe Maron's got a point.
Jeselnik having an issue with people like Tony Hinchcliffe, who he's saying...
Jeselnik, though, is another jealous cunt, though, too. Like, Anthony Jeselnik, everything he says is kind of... It's kind of camouflaged in, I feel like I should be more successful than these guys, and I'm not, and it's upsetting. So it's got to be their fault somehow. I mean, come on. You cannot have a woke point of view as a comedian and think that the system is against you. The system is built for you. If you're an alt PC comic, that's who gets the TV deals. That's who gets all the attention. Come on. We're talking about Netflix. We're talking about the people who gave Amy Schumer multiple specials. Stop with the... To me, Jeselnik was a great writer, but he was never a great performer. And I think he maybe values himself a little more than the audience does.
And uses profanity or just shock value comedy. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, at this point, it's lazy and sloppy and hackneyed. To be in a fucking club where, I'm walking down the hall at the comedy club, at the Comedy Store, and, in one room, someone's doing their bit about trans people, and then I get down the hall and there's someone on stage going, well, I guess I got to do my bit about trans people. Like, no, you don't. You don't. It's hack now. I mean, you guys got...
I will say that, like, if I, on stage a couple weeks ago, if I would have made a trans joke, I would have said, well, I was way too fucking drunk to be on stage. That's hacky. It is kind of hacky to do trans shit now because it's like, it's everywhere. Like, it's everywhere you look. It's not very creative. Maybe I'm going to take shit from my own audience for agreeing with Marc Maron here, but I think he's right. I think in a way doing trans shit right now with Trump as president and everything else, I think it's kind of lame. I think it's been done. I'm fucking, when I say I'm tired of trans, I mean it in all ways. I mean, I'm tired of the people obsessed with the trans on one end, and I'm tired of the people obsessed with trans on the... I don't need to hear about it anymore.
The freedom you wanted. You can now say whatever you want. They're defeated. Their rights have been denied. The policies that you guys encouraged with your stupid material are now policy, and now...
Okay, but what rights? I mean, I guess we could talk about the military and shit like that, but I don't know if their rights are being denied. Like, there's states that say you can't do fucking genital mutilation on a kid. I think that if that's denying a trans kid rights, then I'm okay with denying those rights. If you see that as a right and not genital mutilation, then yeah, I'm okay with denying that right. But as far as like adult trans people, nobody gives a fuck if you're an adult and you want to transition. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to stop you. So I think he's kind of being a whiny, pissy pants liberal in that vein. But I think he raises a good point. Like, if you're on stage, you're like, yeah, I'm a trans stuff, and you act like it's fucking edgy. It's not dangerous to do trans jokes anymore.
Like, half the people under the umbrella of anti-woke, we've lost a tremendous amount of democratic-leaning ideas and movements. So whether they knew it or not, that's what they were spearheading. So now it's reality, and you want to still keep kicking them? Go ahead.
I don't know that
I don't see. Where Maron loses me is he's combining the politics and the comedy way too much, and also. Like, your guys' point of view was the only one allowed in comedy clubs for the longest time, and you shunned anyone and bullied the fuck out of anyone who did stuff that offended you. This is called pushback. This is why maybe we don't go after people. We don't cancel people. If someone tells the wrong joke, we don't try to get them in trouble at the club or try to get them, to not get booked. Maybe this should be a lesson that to every action, there's an equal but opposite reaction. Maron acts like these Rogan-style comics just came out of nowhere and started doing their trans material. For a long time before that, these guys were getting canceled. They were getting told what they could say, what they couldn't say. You guys were brigading and leading campaigns against them. Unfortunately, this is the bed you made, Mark. Like, your message might be right. Maybe doing trans shit right now is hack. But I think you and your ilk did a lot to kind of create this.
comedians have had that much power.
Are you fucking out of your mind?
No, I'm being serious.
Joe Rogan. I'm not gonna.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
You can't separate. Like, if the movement is like, we're being censored. No, you're not. You're not. There's no constitution.
Not anymore. Not anymore. You're right, Mark. These guys are making a shitload of money, but they did it the hard way, pushing past guys like you. People who share opinions with you actively tried to get these guys out of work, and they pushed past that, and now they won. This is the risk you take when you start fucking with people and you start trying to take away their time on stage and all of that shit. This is kind of the risk you run. So I have a hard time. While I think he might make a decent point or two here or there, I think I'm having a hard time empathizing with Marc Maron simply because of this. He's totally ignoring the shit that his quote unquote side, since he's making this a sides thing, he's missing the part where his side tried to control the narrative. When you try to control the narrative and you fail, you can't bitch when the other side starts making their point.
Institutional censorship.
I think he's a bitter nerd. He's a bitter alt comic who's mad that people don't want to watch alt comedy more. That the marketplace is spoken and they don't want that hip ironic shit. They want something different. And so now he's got to attack it as, hateful and it's bigoted and this and that. Is it? I don't know. Quite frankly, I don't think there is any like superstar stand-up comedian right now. I think the whole thing's been watered down so much, it's hard to really tell who the biggest guy out there is. Gillis, maybe? I don't know.
With your free speech, you say things, and in a democratic shit show of an environment, like Twitter or whatever, there's cultural pushback. And I'm not saying that it wasn't. It was pretty bad in terms of people getting canceled and stuff. Yeah. And I agree that was an issue, but that's a specific issue.
But no. They're linked. They're linked, Mark. One led to the other. I can say that a lot of these guys, they're not that funny, and they would not have gotten a voice and they wouldn't have gotten an audience if you guys hadn't tried to shut them up. I think if you just would have let them compete, if you would have let them do their jokes, they probably would have fizzled out or they wouldn't have become as popular as they are. But you guys told people they were dangerous and you tried to actively get them shut out of the game. And so they went to their audience and said, I'm being persecuted for the words I'm speaking. So these jokes that you think are so hateful and terrible, your side actually made them protest statements, underdog statements that led to these guys becoming famous. You have to own that part of this. You can't complain about the result and just totally ignore the how we got here.
Frame it as some sort of free speech problem was a misdirect. It wasn't.
Made it that way.
It wasn't a free speech problem. It was that people were getting cultural pushback. That is not a constitutional issue. No,
but now you're getting called. Do you see? You're full of shit. I'm sorry, Mark, but you're full of shit. I was with you on the trans jokes are hack thing, but now you're full of shit. Because you're saying when you try to get people canceled, that's cultural pushback. But when these guys, when their jokes catch on because people feel they're being attacked for their jokes, that's cultural pushback too. You can't say that when you do bullshit, it's cultural pushback, but when these people do something, well, then it's just bigoted. That's not, it's gotta be consistent across the board, dude. Otherwise, you're being intellectually dishonest.
Someone was being put in jail for saying anything. That's a free speech issue. But my problem is you're going to start.
That's a First Amendment free speech issue. Freedom of speech as a concept, as a moral, as a philosophy. If there are people who believe everyone should say what we want, we shouldn't try to cancel them. But then the other side says attack. That does become a philosophical free speech issue, maybe not a constitutional free speech issue.
Start talking about anti-woke, and that's going to be your point of view. That's going to be your ideological, grounding for what you do. Okay, that's fine. But why does it have to be the same four fucking things? It's like they talk about the same shit. And I don't know a better definition of hack. I mean, after a certain point, it's like, so what juice does the word retard really have? How much shit do you have to give trans people? What is your big problem with gay people? What's your big problem with women? It's like, what is this?
I don't think they have a problem. I think their attitude is you can joke about everything. See, you alt nerds think that everything's a fucking statement. You guys think that every fucking joke you tell should be a soliloquy, etched into stone, that it should be chiseled into a fucking rock at the side of a mountain. Whereas a lot of these other guys, they're just fucking around telling jokes on stage. You want everything to be a statement.
Fucking 80s again. And it's so, to me, the problem is that language evolves. Okay, we don't use the word chink anymore. Well, maybe some of them.
I mean, it depends. I mean, this whole thing right here is made of chinks. That's all this is, are little chinks tied together to make chainmail. This is just a bunch of, and if there's a chink in this, I could die if I'm struck with a blunt object.
You don't use the word Oriental anymore. You don't use the word colored.
Tell that to my rug, Mark.
Anymore is that in a democratic world, people learn to treat other people with respect, communities, and live with it. So this pushback, I don't know how you frame it as anything other than.
But I think it's
Here's what I frame it as. I frame it as a bitter comedian whose day is done. And here's the thing, like, Maron had a decent run. I don't know what more Maron wanted out of his career, but he did okay.